Questions? Who has a question? Somebody has a question. All right.
So, are y'all mostly focusing on people that are like going on trips that need apparel for that trip, or like if I just like want to go hiking like in the North Carolina mountains and I've just never been hiking, or is it more like going like other countries?
Yeah. So when we went to Townsend Birchman Company, their sort of business model used to be strictly outfitting, which is really a customer would come in with an idea of a trip that they wanted to go on. And then the Townsend Birchman Company staff would kind of take them from point A to point B, getting them suited up with everything they needed. What they told us, and it's pretty much that they've moved away from that, mostly just because they don't have enough traffic. And they were kind of doing two things. They were selling, like what you're saying, going in for people, casual people, while also still trying to hold on to the outfitters, which wasn't really working for their revenues. But we still think that that's a great opportunity because of the number of people that we talk to in the stores themselves that are there for the main purpose of planning a trip and preparing for a trip. So the idea with ours is that we're going to differentiate ourselves from these other smaller sports and retail, sports and outdoor retail locations by focusing on that trip itself. So, you know, booking or creating a map, creating a outfit, getting the right specialized gear for that trip specifically to make that easier.
It's like the plan.
Yeah.
So you said like they can look down in the VR and like see what they're wearing. Are you going to like be sponsored by certain brands and you should say, okay, well, you know, you should probably wear North Face over Patagonia, or is it going to be more generalized? Like, you should probably have like this kind of coat. Here are your options.
So I think the idea was more that they would be able to see what they're wearing in the place that they wanted to go through the virtual reality, like with Kennedy's parents who wanted to go to Spain. They would be able to see in the context of their trip. But it's not really brand focused. We found that our customers aren't really focused on name brands, they're focused more on the quality. So it would kind of just be like their options in the store, and we were hoping that would help with the online orders where we were losing, these companies were losing customers, so they would have that option to kind of like see it and then click and buy.
Time for one more question. You guys finished a little bit early. If not, I can give some feedback. Another question. So feedback first, and then I've got a question or comment. Good job. I like the use of, you know, you had some good kind of visuals that don't have a lot of words, which is always good. I think my one piece of advice was it would have been great to, for example, you know, the images were a little generic. You probably could use pictures of real people that you probably took at the store to highlight some of the things you're talking about, like the salesperson interaction with the customer as opposed to like a generic, you know, computer-generated blob. It just makes it more real and it makes it more kind of personal. I think that's advice for everybody. I mean, so if you can incorporate, you know, fewer really good images and then really few words, oftentimes that's a better, while you're talking in particular, that's just a good way to capture people's attention. They're going to look at an image, they're going to get an idea, and then they're going to kind of listen to you all and what you're saying. So it's a good, I mean, good visuals overall. I like, it's a really interesting segment you've identified. The number of people who are becoming empty nesters and retiring it's like 8,000 people a day hit 65. It's an incredible demographic wave that's going to last for quite some time. So I think you're onto something, and that there are frustrations around both the gear selection and if you're going to do a trip or something like that. And you know, one comment or question is, would you take the model and do some of the things you're talking about doing, but then maybe is it partnering with a Townsend Bertrand to generate traffic and you get some kind of revenue share from a trip or something like that? So I'd encourage you to kind of push, do you really want to be in the retail business, or do you want to be in creating this plan and creating an experience business, which are very different. Retail is hard. You can probably earn a premium for creating an experience though.
And so just to kind of talk about that point, when we were at Townsend Birchman Company, they say a lot of people that come into their store for specific gear are recommended from REI specifically, because REI is like the big box outdoor retailer. Pretty much, I mean, there's that, and then there's outdoor provisions. But pretty much REI doesn't have time to do that specific hands-on, like catering to the customer type of thing, just because they're a little bit bigger and they have more customers. So I think that is interesting, and maybe we could move into sort of like a partnership with a bigger retailer and be like maybe like a consulting kind of group to them.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if I were you all, I'd probably explore that, because the retail business, there's plenty of stores that, as you just pointed out, they're struggling already, right, to meet their revenue and do what they do as Townsend and Bertram, and they've got great outdoor provision, and even REI, which has cheaper price points and probably a broader selection. So how does a family-owned business like that kind of survive? They're going to have to do something different. So anyway, cool, good job.